Rajiv Malhotra, Poonam Mahajan, China, we have put NC after that, right?
Non-corrupt.
Non-corrupt. I will devote my 20 minutes to in three parts. First, I will speak about what we have to learn from our own past history. Second is what are the strengths and weaknesses we should know about. And finally, how do we organize a governance system to achieve these goals to make India a truly global power. Well, India was once upon a time the leading global power. If you read books of 1,000 years ago, written by visitors and before that also, even before 1,000 years, we had visitors from China, Persian, and 1,000 years ago we had from Yuan Chang, and then we had Vasco da Gama, and right up to Mark Twain. So I would say that if you read these, you will see what glowing terms we have been described as. So therefore, what comes out very clearly from our study of our past is that we were a great economic power. Such a great economic power that everybody was coming here to buy things. But we also had a tremendous, what is called a soft power. If you go to Southeast Asia, you go to China too. In fact, in 1936, Harvard University celebrated its 300th year anniversary. And for that tricentennial, they invited scholars from all over the world. And they invited the president of Beijing University, a very famous poet called Dr. Hu Shi. And they told them all, please speak on a subject that's dear to your heart. And Dr. Hu Shi spoke. And the title of his talk was The Indianization of China, a Case of Cultural Borrowing, which Harvard has reproduced in its tricentennial volumes. Very few people read it. Unfortunately, it should be a prescribed article for people. I have tried to use it in some of my books. But from that, what comes out is that India's intellectual power, which we call a soft power, that all our concepts were accepted. We didn't invade any country at all. But our ideas permeated throughout the world. I would say that our science went much before the Industrial Revolution to Europe. People took benefit of that. But we lost all that. And slowly we began declining. And of course, we can blame the people who came from abroad, who rooted this country, conquered this country, ruled this country for centuries. But the fact of the matter is that we have to analyze why they were able to do it. When you have such a mighty power, economically, in terms of ideas, how is it that you were for 1,000 years on one form of attack or another? When I look back, and this is one of the things that we have to learn, and that is that we were too civilized in dealing with rules of warfare and so on. For instance, we had the rules of warfare for many, but one of them was that you won't start the fight before the sun rises, and when the sun sets, you will go back to your tent and go to sleep. You come back the next day. That was the rule of warfare. The second was that you will not fight in the cities, you will not fight in the population centers, you will not fight in the agricultural fields, but you will fight in open Maidans. So you have Mahabharata in Kurukshetra was in open Maidan. When Ravan had to combat Ram, he didn't tell him to come inside his fortress, try to get in, but he himself came out in the open Maidan. So that was the other thing, minimal civilian damage. And the third is that if you lose the war and you apologize, everything is returned to you and you are sent away. And so Prithviraj Chauhan sent away Mohammad Ghori, God knows how many times, some say 16 times, so on. That was stupid. He should have only sent him back twice. Third time he should have finished him off. But anyway, this was a civilized behavior we adopted throughout now. This was not suitable to those who came. So we have to learn. Since 1947, we have not been civilized in our interactions. We have been stupid. And that's why I was surprised when in the introduction he said Jawaharlal Nehru put us on the world map. Will anyone put us down? Try to, that also I doubt. I think perhaps the only one person he tried to impress was Edwina Mountbatten. For example, the United States in 1949 end offered you, and this is now documented by the declassified material, offered you the Chinese seat on the Security Council. Because China had become communist, they threw them out, and they offered it to India. And what do you think Jawaharlal Nehru said? Who was trying to put us on the world map. This is China's seat. I cannot take it. And then you see, every General Assembly session, India was pleading for China. Even in 1963, we pleaded for China. After the 62 war, this is China's seat. In 1956, Bulganin and Khrushchev came here. They said, okay, we'll create one more seat for you and China both. Even then, Jawaharlal Nehru said, no, first China must occupy that seat. Now, I will call this civilized. I'll call it plain stupid. That a seat is offered to you of the UN Security Council for the United States. You don't. The second stupid thing we did was to adopt the Soviet model. The Soviet model was totally unsuited to India because the Soviet model was based on the premise that you would squeeze agriculture and use that funds for building heavy industries, and that there will be no exports and imports as a strategy. All this was unsuited for us. First of all, the British had bled Indian agriculture to such a point that it required a lot of infusion of capital. We are the cheapest producer of agricultural products even today. Our milk, for example, is 1/15 what is sold in Europe. And we have 150 million cows. They give an average of about 200 liters per year. An average Israeli cow gives 11,000 liters per year. Now imagine if our 150 million cows started giving the Israeli average, I will have to come to this place swimming in milk. That much milk they will give. Yield per acres in India is one of the lowest in the world. God has given you capacity to have agriculture 12 months of the year. In the United States, 7 months or 5 months at least, you can't do any agriculture because there's so much snow. Same thing with Europe, same thing with China. But this potential has not been utilized because we chose the wrong strategy. And we fell for the propaganda. I remember the great Marxist leader, Namboodiripad Pal, told me once in a seminar, do you know that there is no inflation in the Soviet Union? There is no unemployment in Soviet Union. There is no poverty in Soviet Union. Some years later, I met him after August 1991. I said, there's a fourth quality also. There is no Soviet Union anymore. It's broken into 16 countries today. Where is the Soviet model worked? You want a laboratory experiment? See Germany. One country till 1945. One people, one history. Divided into two. East Germany, West Germany. West Germany adopted market and democracy. And East Germany adopted dictatorship and Soviet model. See the difference even today between the developments of these two countries. North Korea, South Korea. China before economic reform, China after economic reform. India before economic reform, after economic reform. And what the leftist intellectuals told us, this is the Hindu rate of growth in the Soviet model. This is the communist rate of growth. That's all we got all over the world. And after economic reform, we have reached 7%, 9%. So that potential that we have has to be recognized. So we have to learn from this past. I don't take any great pride that we are a billion plus people, because it depends on the mindset. I'm coming to Rajiv Malhotra's point about the identity. You have 1,000 goats and 1 tiger. Who has majority? The goats have the majority. But who will run from the scene? It will be the goats who will run from the scene. So therefore, it's not that they don't plan how to get together and defeat the tiger. Numbers by itself don't matter. It's the mindset. Even strength doesn't matter without mindset. You have 5 lions in a cage in a circus, and there's a thin, wiry ringmaster. He'll go inside the cage and he'll order them, climb up. Each one of those lions is strong enough that with their paw they can knock him out, finish him off. But they all obey, they all climb up. We Indians today are like either goats or circus lions. We need a new mindset. And that is what Malhotra has been devoting his life to. He has a very cushy job and went into this. And he has brought a mighty change through using the same idiom that the people who have systematically brainwashed have done. So let me first say that our strength is what? We have a population which is young. The average age of the Indian population, of the India's population, is 28 years. The average age of the Chinese population is 37. The average age of the American population is 38. The average age of the Japanese is 49. Of Europe is 48. It's a young population. Everybody knows that economic growth is fueled by innovations. And innovations, the young people who come out of universities are the people who do the innovations. This is the crowd that we should focus on. That means you need world-class academic institutions. And that should be the focus, where we encourage people to start educational institutions and maintain the standard. This is our strength. The second strength is our agriculture, the cheapest agriculture in the world. We can export grain, fruits, vegetables, flowers, milk to the whole world. Let them in Doha rounds remove all these subsidies that they give to their own people. Our agriculture will triumph all over the world. No use talking about giving subsidies to our farmers. You empower them to export. Build every district you build a airfield, cold storages, export capacity. So this is the kind of development. This is your second great advantage. First is your population. Second is agriculture. But we were taught that these are your liabilities. But for the emergency and the people's revolt against the emergency, we would have done what everybody was praising the Chinese for doing, namely a 1 child per family. It's the revolt of the Indian people which made them give up these coercive methods. So this is the second. And finally, I would say we have demonstrated already our capacity, because we have a tradition to innovate. Today, software, SEI, CMM gradation 1 to 5. We have more than 36 companies with grade 5, which is the best quality software. United States has only 15 such companies. Chinese have only one such company. Who wins the Denning Prize every year in Japan for automobile ancillaries? India, consistently. I mean, where the people are allowed to do their thing, if the government gets out of the way, we perform. Indians today's per capita income in the United States is the highest of all communities in America, including white communities. So therefore, this is another asset. Not only we have a young population, which means that many of your problems which Europe is facing will go away, will not be there for us for a long time, such as this pension bomb and so on, but we have a native capacity. This requires a new mindset, such as taking risk. Indians don't take risk. I teach every summer at Harvard. At the end of the class, I ask my students, what kind of career would you like? A career where you enter the labor force, you get an increment every year in your salary. At the age of 60, you get provident fund, and then you go and relax. Live a retired life. Or do you want something where you try something of your own? You may fall flat on your face and lose everything, or you may become a billionaire. The American students in my class used to ask me, what's the probability of the second possibility? But 99% of the Indian students in my class would say, no, I really like the first possibility. You want to, this is guaranteed poverty, is that what you want? They said, yes, at least it's guaranteed, that's what's important. This search for stability is one of the biggest debilitating factors in the country. Must become leave this being risk averse, become risk friendly, take risks in your life. That kind of mentality has to come. I don't want to repeat what Malhotra said about identity. I think it's a very, very important concept. We are Indians means what? Because we got a passport? That's not in Indian. If we say we are Indian because of our great civilization, which civilization? Because we have had a very long period of Hindu civilization. After that, what did we have? How do we accommodate Muslims and Christians in the part of the identity? Well, fortunately, modern science has given us a way. The DNA analysis shows that we are all the same. All Indians are the same. We have not come from anywhere else. All this talk about Aryan, Dravidians, all bogus. Anyway, the word Aryan doesn't exist in our scriptures. It's only Arya. Arya means gentleman. In Tamil we say Alya. Dravidian is a concept which Adi Shankara invented when he went to Varanasi to debate Mandana Mishra. They asked him, who are you? He said, I'm Dravida Shishu. He explained that the word Dravida is a sandhi of Pra and Vid, essentially meaning where the three coastlines or the three oceans meet. Is South India. And unfortunately, the British brainwashed a section. They formed a Dravidian movement, which Mr. Karnanidhi today is the specimen. And he has been rubbishing everything that is Hindu. Except that now I'm told that his daughter is doing bhajans inside the PRJ. That's poetic justice, no? Once I was arguing against the breaking of the Ram Setu in the Supreme Court case because I won. And Karnanidhi got very upset. He said publicly, how can Swamy say that this is Ram Setu? Did Ram build it? Which engineering college did he go to? Where did he get his degree from? Next day he fell ill. He was admitted to Ramchandra Medical Hospital. I wrote him a letter. At least he's got an MBBS, if not an engineering. So this rubbishing, this splitting, this identity must go. We are Hindus, or we are those who have descended from Hindus. That's what the DNA says. If the Muslims and Christians proudly accept this, then we will become a genuine identity of a Hindustani. That's what is required. I wrote this in an article in DNA. They've been trying to chase me to send me to jail, but they've not been successful. Because I love to go argue in a court. And they don't want me to argue in a court, so just make noise and leave it at that. Second thing is we need the correct history of India. What is the correct history of India? When I go around speaking to young audiences around the country, they ask me, if our Sanatan Dharma was so good, how is it that we were beaten? How do you say we were beaten? Iran was a nation of Zoroastrians. Islam invaded Iran, and in 15 years they made them 100% Muslim. Next was Babylon and Mesopotamia, which is now called Iraq. In 17 years they made them 100% Muslims. Egypt was in 21 years. Europe was made Christian 100% in 50 years. But here we had 800 years of Muslim rule and 200 years of Christian rule via the British, and you are still 83%. This is being studied in Saudi Arabia. That's how it struck me. In Saudi Arabia, they are studying why. And that's why Osama bin Laden said that India is an incomplete chapter of Islamic history. So, therefore, you need to teach your history properly. How many people fought? People were ready to eat, kings were ready to eat grass. Rana Pratap is an example. So, throughout the history, we have had every part of India in a state of revolt. Till finally, in the late 19th century, spiritual leaders, sadhus, sannyasis, people like Bankim Chatterjee, they all gave a new concept to India's identity. So I would place the development of a single Indian identity, which connects you to the past. You can't have an identity that I've got my Indian passport, therefore I'm Indian. Or I wear sari and bindi, therefore I am an Indian. Or I am Indianized. Somebody told me that you are so critical of Sonia Gandhi, at least she wears a sari and the bindi. As I have learned from Ramayana, that when Ravan came to kidnap Sita, he came dressed in Bhagwa Kapda. I'm not really fooled by somebody's dress. It's a question of what you accept. Those who accept the entire Indian civilizational history, they have to do it. And this civilization history is the one that will make you happy. Materialism, the West practices not making people happy. Otherwise, why is there so many foreigners in Sri Sri Ravi Shankar's or Baba Ramdev's ashram or Swamy Dayanand Saraswati's ashram? So many. I also have this problem because when I go to America to teach, they see in the telephone directory my name is Subramanian Swamy, so they think I must be some kind of sadhu. Yeah, Bhagwan. They're learning yoga, they are now learning Sanskrit because Sanskrit is considered a computer-friendly language for artificial intelligence. This is a huge, tremendous tradition which you have to own up. And both Christians and Muslims can own it up by just acknowledging what is the truth, that they are descended from Hindus. We are a nation of Hindus or those others who openly acknowledge that they are descended from Hindus. Correct history if there's one thing that you need to do to really unite India is to learn Sanskrit. And I would say that any government which wanted to build a identity for Indians, they must make Sanskrit compulsory. Every Indian language has large proportion of words which are from Sanskrit. Tamil itself has 42% of its words are from Sanskrit. And there also I had a quarrel with Karunanidhi. I said, what is your name? It is Karunanidhi. This is not a Tamil name. This is a Sanskrit name. So Sanskrit is the uniting factor. So that is another thing that we must learn. And most of all, we must as a nation now begin to retaliate when we are attacked. If we are attacked covertly, we must attack if necessary overtly. Here the city of Bombay has been brutalized twice. We have not retaliated. We have to retaliate, and that mental state must come. When our civilization is threatened, we will retaliate. That old Prithviraj Chauhan saying, okay, Prithviraj Chauhan at least defeated the person and then forgave him. Here, without even being defeating that person, you are ready to forgive. No, Shanti, Shanti. This Sattvic Hindutva is not what I want. I want Rajasic Hindutva, where you retaliate. Then only the nation can rise. So we must now rise above all our divisions. Hindus are self-divided into this Varna. And this Varna is never connected with birth. If you are born in a Brahmin family, it doesn't mean you automatically become a Brahmin. The Rishis had said very clearly it's a decentralization of power. Rishi Bhrigu had said that there are 4 sources of power: knowledge, weapons, wealth, and land. And he said that no one person should have more than one of this. And those who practice this, that if you have knowledge, you will not have weapons, you will not have land, you will not have wealth. But it will be the highest. That is why the Americans in the early days, when I went first as a student, they could never understand how we Indians follow Mahatma Gandhi, who was half naked. In fact, Winston Churchill used to call him a naked fakir. The concept of sacrifice is an integral part of our life. But see, all the great rishis, were they born in Brahmin families? Veda Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata, his mother was a fisherwoman. Kalidasa was a hunter. He came from a family of hunters. Vishwamitra was called the Rishi of Rishis. His parents were Kshatriyas. Similarly, Valmiki is considered to be born in a Dalit family. Ravan was a Brahmin. Very few people know that. In fact, Karunanidhi used to celebrate Ravan Leela to spice Ram Leela. Till later on he found out that Ravan was a Brahmin. And he gave it up. So there is this concept of birth. So I don't think that we can now reform the caste system. I think the time has come for all of us to consciously try and disband it. The process of disbanding this caste system and regarding ourselves as an Indian and nothing but an Indian, that time has come. Then only we can be truly a great country. And if we vote accordingly, you will get a government which will be responsible for this. Today we condemn some politicians for being appeasers. Let me tell you, appeasement is politically profitable. The day it ceases to be politically profitable, these same very politicians will change. The responsibility is ours to think like an Indian, which means either a Hindu or someone who is ready to acknowledge that his ancestors are Hindus. That Indian it is free from all other parochial attachments, can make India once again a great country. Thank you.